We talked about how sometimes incumbents have an advantage, existing players, and sometimes startups have advantages. Differences, different advantages under different situations. In this case, we're going to dive a little more deeply into the advantage that existing players or incumbents have in the marketplace versus startups. The video following this one will talk about the startup advantages. But when you think about the advantage that the existing player has, it really boils down to the following idea. They have been around for a long time, and you're just figuring it out as a startup. Let's take the case of a very well-established Italian bakery that makes high-end pastries and baked goods that people love, has been around for years. And you're coming into the marketplace down the street doing basically the same sort of thing. If the supplier doesn't show up, or customers come in a rush, if some employees don't show up, whatever, they have done this for years. They have people they can trust. They know how to handle these situations. They know who to call. They have backup plans. All of it runs very smoothly, even though those events might be throwing me and my little business into all sorts of gyrations as I react to all of these unforeseen circumstances, perhaps for the first time or the second time or just every once in a while. I'm making it all up while they're over there just doing day-to-day business. That gives them more time, perhaps, to come up with better specials or different things that they might serve. To think about me as a competitor and how they can undermine whatever it is I'm offering as a specific advantage. They can think about their marketing plan. They can think about building reputation, maybe getting some of their best customers to come in and talk up the place a little bit subtly downplaying my new business. They have all this opportunity to not only have a more efficient operation, do things better and more cheaply and more efficiently than me, so they look more professional, but they also have time to focus on longer-term items while I'm responding and reacting to everything. They have the markets in place, they have their existing supplier networks, they have their regular ads in the paper that people look for with their daily specials or whatever. They have all of these assets that I don't have, and they know what they're doing all the time. I'm figuring it out. So they right away have an advantage of a consistent operation, consistent product and services, and mine aren't necessarily so. This translates, from their perspective, into operating with an additional marginal cost. They already know the business that they're doing. They already know how to make money at what they've been doing for years. So if they're entering a new product or coming out with a new product in competition with whatever I'm offering in my operation, they only have to make money incrementally on the cost of their goods and services that are being provided and sold. So they can price and think and effectively operate at a marginal cost basis because their big asset base is being covered by their existing incumbent business, their operation. They can actually price more cheaply than I can. I have to come up with business that everything I sell has to pay for not only that product, but has to pay for the fittings that I have, the real estate that I pay for, all the employees that I have, all the services, customer support, my website, everything else. I have to incorporate all of that into my pricing decisions so that I can make money effectively. They're already making money on everything, hopefully, from their perspective. So therefore, when they introduce products to compete with me, they only have to think about the marginal cost, that incremental cost that they have to pay for just to produce that product, whereas I have to worry about everything that I'm doing. And that creates a tremendous disadvantage for me economically. I cannot be responsive to pricing. They cut pricing, I could be in a difficult situation because I have more bills to pay that aren't covered by other business lines. Whereas if I cut pricing, they can respond very easily and pick it up by price increases on a different product line. So those are the kinds of things economically that we have to worry about. One last piece that's important, we've been talking mostly about physical assets, equipment and real estate and people and stuff like that. But there's also this idea of reputation. The example we were using, to say we're talking about an Italian bakery, as we said, one that's been around for years, maybe 4 generations have gone to this place. The customers' parents and their grandparents and even their great-grandparents have always gotten their Sunday morning pastries from this place. and any special occasions, they've gotten their pastries and all of that. They have this tremendous reputation that's been built up over the years. I, on the other hand, I'm an unknown, and I have to invest in growing that reputation. Theirs already exists. It's a freebie from them. They build upon it. I have to invest to pay for it. So one of the things to think about, because they have this tremendous advantage, is how can I uniquely distinguish myself so that my reputation is actually not in conflict with theirs, but is an opposite of theirs in some way. Like when Amazon started out as a company, there were bookstores, you can go and browse, whatever. There was no way that Amazon as a startup can compete with Barnes & Noble or Borders, right? In terms of places you can go and browse and sit down, have a cup of coffee, read a book, and whatever. But they could give you a broader selection, and they could get it to you to your home in a very short period of time, the logistics support to try and minimize that part of the bargain. And so they built up a reputation that was at the polar opposite of the reputation that the big bookstores had. And in a certain way, they actually leverage the existing reputations of the key players just by being so different, right? So that you're almost using their reputation to blow up, enhance, magnify your own reputation. So that's another thing to think about. But do not underestimate the fact that you have existing players have all of these assets that they can utilize to undermine anything you try to do, because you're learning everything new. You're trying to make your money on everything that you spend, your real estate, your people, all of that stuff. And at the same time, you have to build a reputation from scratch. They don't have any of those issues. They have real advantages over you. Don't forget that. The good news is, startups also have advantages, and that's what we'll talk about in the next video.